Hello, family and friends of First Presbyterian. Welcome to my weekly devotion leading to this coming Sunday. For the last couple of weeks, I've been preaching on the sermons from the seas. Well, this week we move from the sea or the lake to the mountains, actually the hills of Galilee. I'm calling the next two sermons the messages from the mountains. They all come from the famous Sermon on the Mount as taught by Jesus in Matthew's Gospel. I've actually been to where Jesus delivered that sermon. It's a lovely hillside. I've actually stayed right there at the Franciscan guest house. It's just beautiful. In the morning, you look over the lake, you see a beautiful sunrise coming up over the hills of Galilee. It's just beautiful, and there's a wonderful church there. Pilgrims come to that church, and they remember the Beatitudes. It was from that hill that Jesus delivered this famous sermon. It's recorded in chapters 5 through 7 of Matthew. These are the core curriculum for the students of Jesus, aka the disciples. Well, this week we're going to take a look at a teaching that you usually hear on Ash Wednesday. So maybe hearing it apart from Lent will help us hear something different. It was really a teaching about spiritual practices, about their proper use and their purpose. Now, specifically, Jesus mentions prayer, almsgiving, and fasting. Now, most of us are familiar with prayer, and many of us make that a spiritual practice. The most famous prayer, of course, is the Lord's Prayer. All of you are familiar with almsgiving, but you may not call it that. You may call it charity or giving to the poor. And so many people feel so good when they give to the poor. They feel closer to God as helping the people when helping people in need. Now, a few of us, actually very few of us, are familiar with spiritual fasting. Now, fasting is not the same as being on a diet. The goal is not to lose weight. The goal is to develop a hunger for God and to recognize one's hunger for God. Maybe the most famous fast is the one that Jesus had in those 40 days in the wilderness. All three of those practices have the same purpose, to draw one closer to God. We probably could all add to those practices some others that we have. Maybe it's reading the scripture on a daily basis. Maybe it's walking outside and just being in nature. Maybe there's different practices that draw you closer to God. As we approach worship this week, let me invite you to reflect on this. When and where have you felt closest to God? And are there some spiritual practices that bring you closer to God, that feed your soul? I invite you to think about those as we come together to worship God this week. I look forward to seeing you on Sunday. It's a wonderful gift to be with you.